All right, fire away.
Health updates, Zach?
Really nothing new from Monday's press conference. We'll see where Chris Evans and Dax are over the course of the week. DJ's feeling good, optimistic. We'll see how the week goes. Anybody else I'm missing there?
Mark.
We'll just see how the week goes.
With DJ, he had the one practice on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't obviously a physical exertion, tremendous.
Right.
Today and tomorrow, really the key telling moments?
Well, he's been doing rehab work over the last couple of weeks and has felt really good. So we were optimistic going in this week, and I anticipate a positive week from him.
How was Tupou?
I'm not ready to go this week, but again, we'll continue to take him week to week. We've thought since day one that he was a little behind DJ in terms of health recovery.
What led to the decision not to put Tupou on IR then?
Didn't necessarily need to. We have spots, we have centered elevations. You never know how it can come. There's the calf, and so there's the initial timeline that you can follow, but you leave it open to maybe it's a little faster. And again, not always. It's about a 48-man roster at this point. It's not about beyond that. So there's been plenty of times we feel comfortable operating with how we've got the roster right now.
Do you need to see anything from Kevin for him to punt on Sunday?
I think he's
practice this week.
No, I think we've gotten both those guys work every single week, and so we'll just continue with that process.
Going back to the Week 1 game with Joe Burrow throwing 4 interceptions, he said he's not going to do that this game. But he was also asked about if he had any advice.
We should set that right now. Ask quarterbacks around the league what they are or are not going to do going into a game. Go ahead.
But he was also asked if he had any advice to give to Minka about the appendectomy. And he joked that, maybe take another week. So I asked him, looking back, did he feel like he needed another week? But just from your perspective, because you were a quarterback, how much can that specific injury really, bother your whole operation? And did you feel like he probably did need another week? How healthy was he Week 1?
I don't think, if we're just speaking turnovers, I don't think any of that had anything to do with anything. One of them was a fourth down, trying to fit it in a tight window. One was a DN picking it off. One was Minka making a great play, second play of the season, playing it a little different. That's what you deal with Week 1 of the season is what are some of the changes that you're going to see and how they play things. And none of that goes into the appendectomy, I don't think. How does it affect you? I honestly don't know. I never had injuries similar to that. I could guess just as well as everybody else, but Joe's probably the best reference point there.
Back to the injuries, you see examples where a guy is out for a bit and then just gets 2 or 3 practices and then plays like maybe DJ can do this week. What's kind of the step before that, and what do you look at to determine whether or not a guy can practice?
It depends on the position, depends on the person, depends on how much practice time you think they need. Some guys you put them on IR because it's 4 weeks and you anticipate them needing that. And some guys start to feel better before that, so they're getting rehab work and they're able to simulate a lot of things with the trainers, so you get a better feel for that. So there's it's hard to put each one in its own box. It's position, it's player, it's how quick they're mentally ready to go as well. So there's just a lot of factors that play into that.
Joe Burrow said after the first 2 games of the season that one of the things he realized is it reminded him of how to win games since he'd been winning after that. What do you think has really changed for you guys since those 2 weeks to where things have just been clicking coming out of the bye week?
You talking about the first 2 games of the season?
Yeah.
I think the first one, we just dug ourselves in a hole, turnovers, gave ourselves an opportunity at the end, didn't get it done. Next one, we went on the road, first road game, started slow on both sides of the ball, and I think that's proven to be a really good team, that it was hard to dig out of that hole. We almost did. Since then, we just, it's hard to say we weren't more focused. We just, those first 2 games kind of got away from us quick, and we've played better football since then. So I think that's the simplest answer for me is just those early season problems or those first 2 games, and then I think we've really improved since then.
Since the New Orleans game, Zach, Joe's completion percentage has been better than 70% each week. What does completions percentage tell you about his effectiveness?
decisiveness, accuracy, number one. I think with Joe, the accuracy is what stands out. If you just watch quarterbacks in general, rarely does he not put the ball where he wants it. I think that's a special trait that he has. He plays really fast, and so he can understand the coverage, do his best to manipulate the coverage to give people an opportunity to get more yards after the catch. And so he just does that by sometimes not being overly aggressive down the field and just taking what they're giving him to keep us efficient on 1st and 10, second down. He does a great job of that. And so that leads to a high completion percentage, him being decisive and accurate. And being willing to skip through a possession and skip through a progression and get it to someone who's got a better chance at some yak than maybe waiting for a more aggressive throw down the field.
When it comes to slowing down, I guess being the key phrase, a guy like T.J. Watt, how much of that is Joe Burrow making adjustments when needed, scheme, and just being able to run well against a team like that to kind of slow him down?
It's everything. Everything you mentioned plays into it. Schematically, trying to help. We play TJ is one of the best, but we also get a lot of practice against our own guys, against Garrett and Klein. I mean, you get all these guys that you got to focus on to help your line, and so it feels like every week, every other week, we're facing a guy that's a Pro Bowl level player. That doesn't mean they're all the same, but you still have to give the same focus so that they don't disrupt the game. The challenge with Pittsburgh is they've got two, he was the defense player of the week, Highsmith was just now, so you've got Watt, Highsmith, and then you've got the interior players starting with Larry and Cam that are two premier players. And so when you just focus on helping one side or one person, it allows for a lot of opportunities from those other guys. And so that's the stress that Pittsburgh puts on you, is that they have a great front. And that's got to be the focus is helping your team schematically. Your quarterback plays a part in that. Running the ball, being able to throw the ball, and stressing the secondary, it all plays into it.
Zach, your philosophy has been, especially in the AFC North, you like to practice in adverse conditions. Mm-hmm. Now that you have the indoor facility, has that adapted at all? Has it changed how you're going to go about it? Well,
there's a balance there, and so we'll just take it day to day and make the best decisions for our team. And one area it does help you is in your walkthroughs, that we've traditionally done outside, regardless of the conditions. That's easy to make that switch. And then day to day, there's going to be times when you want to be inside and have good crisp practice. There's going to be times you want to work in the elements, and so I won't give you guys much lead time on what it's going to be each day, but those are decisions that we'll make day to day.
How much conversation are y'all having internally about the possibility of going over forward in the division? That's something that you approach at all? I'm sure it's not.
No, we just because we're just focused on beating Pittsburgh. Those games that are behind us, and so each week we recap on the things that we got to improve on. But we don't. We spend time on focused on how do we beat Pittsburgh on the road, not what does this mean for our record or our divisional record. That doesn't do anything for us, so we don't talk about it.
You guys are top 5, top 10 in most, if not all, offensive categories. Given the ebbs and flows that have come with this season through nine games, does it feel that way? Or do you feel that way even though?
No, I think it feels like a normal NFL season for me. I think every team goes through it. Every team I've been on, you look around the league at what other teams are going for. Each week is going to garner a reaction that you're ahead of where you should be or you're behind where you should be. For us, it's just about making the corrections and finding the right rhythm and moving forward. And again, that's one thing you notice on a bye week as you observe other teams and you see the narrative that's around teams that we think are really good, and all of a sudden they're falling apart. It's just such week to week. In terms of how they deal with that stuff. And so it's just important to be consistent and just keep trying to focus on the next game and doing what you can, because it's a long season and there's going to be some negatives, there's going to be a lot of positives, and it's just how you manage all that and keep your team focused is what's important.
When you start off 0-2, there's not a lot of talk about winning 5 of your last 7. It's just kind of the overall being 5-4. Yeah. But this, it shows how tough that start was, but it also shows where you are now. Mm-hmm. Do you look at that stretch and say, this is who we are, we've found ourselves, we're in a rhythm now? I think it's important that you play your best football in the back half of the season. And so that's what we have to be hell-bent on doing. And I've seen the right attitude this week as we come off the bye, particularly from the veterans, of what the mindset needs to be. Not that we've had a great mindset before, but now it's time to
really lock in and focus. So I think we've got the right mentality for that, and I'm excited to see that at practice this week and during the game on Sunday.
Is this the best season you've seen from Sam Hubbard so far?
I haven't really thought of it that way. He's so consistent. He's always been such a force for us. He's always been a force in the run game. Like that's Sam Hubbard since the day I got here. He's really continued to evolve as a pass rusher as well. And part of that is like any pass rusher, helping put pieces around him too, with the guys internally and Trey on the other side. That it benefits each other to have those guys, and they both are so smart players. So it's hard for me to say. I'd love to give you that. Yeah, Sam's playing the best football. Sam's always been so consistent that we don't take him for granted.
Would you like to have your reviews the entire game instead of being restricted inside the 2-minute warning?
It can be challenging because they always come over to you in the 2-minute warning and tell you no challenges. So that's every game I've ever coached. They tell you that, so you process that. But still in that moment, you're ready to throw a challenge flag, and there's that tense waiting there where you're trying to sort out, are they going to review this or not? And that's part of the process for everybody.
The reason I ask is Sunday's game in Buffalo, where it's pretty clear that not only was it probably not the correct call on the field, but there was a communication breakdown with New York, and I'm wondering, as a head coach, would you like to see maybe that addressed after the season and get an opportunity to, save those?
I won't react to it in this moment. It's more you process all the information as the season takes place, and then in the off season have those conversations.
Where have you seen Cordell progress since week 1? He had a really tough matchup against Cam, obviously, but where have you kind of seen him grow?
I think he's had a really solid season for a rookie. I don't look at him as a rookie. I don't see that. I don't feel that. I don't feel we got to protect this guy. He had a tough first rep of the season when we gave up a sack to Cam on a quick game, and it developed a little longer than he probably anticipated. So that's tough to put him in that situation. I thought he responded well. I think he's had a really solid season, and he only continues to improve, and he's got the right mentality. So forget about the areas where you see improvement, all that stuff. It's just he's got the mentality that you want in offensive lineman, the confidence. He's eager to practice. He's eager for conditions like this. You can just feel that from him. All of our linemen, I think they when they hear the weather for Sunday and they hear the weather for practice, you see, some guys like, you see the lineman like, yes, this is what we've been waiting on. And I think he fits right into that mold with those guys.
How rare is it for a mid-round or fourth-round rookie offensive lineman to show you that he's not a rookie anymore, to where you're not even thinking about him as a first-year?
The rounds are hard. It's hard to just look at it that way because some guys just it's hard to understand the mentality guys are going to have until he's in your building and you see him work every single day. And really from the moment Cordell's been here, you've kind of gotten that sense that, man, we made the right decision there. That was a guy I know that Duke and Frank had really locked in on of, maybe not 200 linemen are all in the draft. They're not all on your board. They're not all what we want. Cordell was certainly one that we had identified that if he's there at the right moment, let's get him. And he's done a good job making those guys look really good.
He was one of 4 new starters on that O-line to start the season. Was there a point this year where it kind of stopped looking like 5 guys getting to know each other and one cohesive group seeing it through one set of eyes?
No, because they took a lot of the heat for the sacks that were given up early in the year, and I've repeatedly said it's not all on that. There's edge guys they're not responsible for. There's other miscues that have happened. So I've been positive on that group, and I only think they're continuing to get better as a group. But I think they've given us what we've needed to be able to go compete and win all these games that we played in.
Do you think with Cordell, do you think some of the reason that he doesn't look like a rookie to you is because he played so long in college? He's 24 years old. He's a little bit older as a rookie. Do you think that kind of has a part in it?
I just think his whole background is feeds into what he is. He's you look at his stats from his high school basketball games. He's like 20 points, 17 rebounds, block shots. How many punts did he block in high school? How many sacks did he have? I think he had some catches maybe as a tight end. You just look at this guy's background. I think he was a 5-year starter. I think he started in 8th grade. And so it's not just playing 8 years in college or how many years he played. It's just the length of how long this dude's been competitive and what his standard has been for himself. Now, maybe if you pull up the high school football tape, it might have been 8-man football, and he might be a giant amongst children, but he still did it. It's plenty of guys that have those body types that don't maximize their potential, and he's done it. He's been competitive at all times. You got a lot of respect for the program he came from at North Dakota State. Just the coaches who have developed those guys and the tradition of winning and the standard that they've had there is really second to none, to be quite honest with you. And so you when you see a North Dakota State guy on the radar, you kind of give them a little bit of that credit just because of what they're coming from, and I think Cordell has certainly lived up to those expectations.
Well, last postseason, or going into it, you talked about how much you guys didn't have a margin for error, and that kind of made y'all sharper as y'all got into the postseason. Do you feel like you're kind of in the same situation, and kind of do you enjoy having that lack of margin for error as you go down?
Yeah, we like the urgency that it takes in every single game to. That we need these. We need this road win against Pittsburgh. We like that.
Zach, if DJ is able to go, how does that elevate the defense from where he hasn't been, and where does he hinder what Pittsburgh can do most?
I think it's been really good to see the depth step up behind him and get those opportunities, and they've done a good job. Our defense has really played the run really well. DJ just brings in that veteran leadership element and that savviness and the consistency from play to play. And so I think anytime you go against a great interior defensive lineman like that, it affects your pass rush, not just him, but everybody around him, and certainly in the run game, he's a force. He's played at such a high level against the run that it puts a lot of teams in second 9, second 10 right off the bat, and that's a positive for us.
Zach, I know you guys had drafted Zach and you had put your chips on BJ, but when it got really close to the season starting and Ogunjobi was still out there, how come you guys didn't make a more aggressive run to maybe try to get him back in the mix?
I don't. We yeah. I mean, we all love Larry. This locker room, this coaching staff, this whole building had a lot of love for Larry. He's playing at an incredibly high level. It's not surprising to see. Sometimes it just doesn't always fit together, but trust me, we talked to Larry and really like Larry, and ultimately he went to Pittsburgh, which is Larry's worked so hard for everything he's gotten that he's the easiest guy in the world to pull for outside of playing against him. Got a lot of respect for him. I loved having him in our locker room for the year we had him. And it just works out. He's playing for a different team now, but trust me, we think very highly of Larry.
In that last conversation, there wasn't any, okay, well, just if it's not us, can it not be Pittsburgh?
Yeah. That would have been helpful.
What stands out to you about Kenny Pickett?
You can see, okay, he's a rookie, fine. He doesn't carry himself like that. He's got the confidence, and so I think I would imagine that the players around him see that confidence that he carries himself with, and the plays he's able to make on the field, and give them an opportunity to win games. The experience always comes into the fold of every game. He's going to continue to improve because of the different things he finds himself in. But you just see a great leader. You see a reason he's picked in the first round. That shows up. There's probably a comfort level there. He's in the same practice. So I don't know how that works. I've never been there that way. But there's probably a comfort level of hitting the ground a little faster, having been in those surroundings, being in Pittsburgh, and that's certainly a benefit for him and them. And I think he's going to have a really good career, and can see why he's a first-round pick.